This is my task number 3 on teacher-made tests. My name is Catherine Kuhn, and I teach 6th, 7th, and 8th grade vocal music. Teacher-made tests? That sounds pretty self-explanatory. Well, it is. Berg defines teacher-made tests as assessments that are not commercially produced or standardized. In other words, they are tests teachers design specifically for their students. Why should I create my own tests? As a student, how many times were you given a test that was copied straight from the teacher's edition? Oftentimes, those cookie-cutter assessments focus on different material than the instructor focused on in the lesson. Did you think, but we didn't cover that in class? Teachers should create tests before beginning to cover the material, or begin from the end. When tests are made by the teacher before initial instruction of the lesson even begins, a quality test comes to equal quality learning. Things to consider when creating your own tests include: what standards, goals, or outcomes am I measuring? What kind of evidence do I need to show that my students have achieved what I'm trying to measure? And what kind of assessment will give me that evidence? Music lends itself well to teacher-made testing because there isn't a textbook for my class. I only have a frameworks to use as a guideline. By creating tests myself, I can align my tests directly with my lesson and the standards I'm currently covering. For example, several weeks ago I tested over dynamics or volume levels in music. I wanted to ensure that they grasped the concept instead of just merely memorizing the definition. So instead of asking them to define dynamics, I gave them the option to either compare and contrast either dynamic levels in 2 of our pieces, or to compare and contrast dynamic similarities in 2 sections of 1 piece. Earlier in the year, I was able to create my own test and give a kinesthetic test over Kodai hand signs and solfege by having them sign and say each solfege syllable. By creating my own tests, I'm more easily able to allow for modifications for 504 students, ask multi-level thinking questions, or vary the format for written or kinesthetic test. I can also choose to test students by themselves or with a partner. Because of teacher-made testing, assessment options in my classroom are absolutely